Take out a smartphone, open the map application, zoom in on a street in New York, or London, or Tokyo. You can see the cars parked on the side of the road. You can see the color of the rooftops. You can see the people walking on the sidewalk. Now scroll over to the ocean. Zoom in on the middle of the Pacific. What do you see? You see a flat blue sheet, maybe a few vague shades of light and dark blue. That is not a map. That is a guess. That is a placeholder graphic because we literally do not know what is down there. There's a saying that we know more about the surface of the moon than the bottom of the ocean. It sounds like a cliche, something people say at dinner parties to sound smart. But it is not just a saying. It is a humiliating truth for the human race. We are a species of explorers. We have sent robots to drive on the rusty dust of Mars. We have sent probes crashing into the atmosphere of Saturn. We have telescopes that can see the birth of stars billions of light years away. But if you drop a marble into the deepest part of the Indian Ocean, we cannot tell you where it lands. Let's look at Mars, the red planet. It is dry, cold, and dead. The atmosphere is thin. Because there is no water and very little air, we can use radar and high-resolution cameras from orbit to map every single inch of it. We know the height of Olympus Mons down to the meter. We know the depth of Valles Marineris. We can navigate a rover named Curiosity from a control room on Earth because we have the roadmap. We know where the rocks are. We know where the cliffs are. Mars is stripped bare for us to see. Now, look at Earth, the blue marble. It looks pretty from space, but that water is a shield. It is a cloak of invisibility. You cannot use cameras to map the deep ocean because light doesn't travel through water. After 200 meters, the sun is gone. It is pitch black. You cannot use radar, the tool we use for space, because water absorbs radio waves. If you point a radar gun at the ocean, the signal dies instantly. It hits the water and vanishes. So how do we map the ocean? We use sound, sonar. We have to drive a ship back and forth, mowing the lawn, pinging sound waves off the bottom and listening for the echo. Sound is slow. Sound is messy. It takes a long time for the ping to go down 7 miles and come back up. To map the entire ocean with high-resolution sonar, it would take hundreds of years and billions of dollars. And because space travel is sexy and deep-sea mapping is wet and difficult, we just haven't done it. Currently, we have explored or mapped about 5% of the ocean floor in high detail. 5%. Imagine if you bought a house, a massive mansion, but you were only allowed to see the coat closet and the bathroom. The rest of the house, the living room, the basement, the attic, was pitch black and locked. You could hear things moving in there. You could feel the floor shaking sometimes, but you had no idea what the layout was. That is our situation on Earth. We are living on a planet where the basement is a total mystery. This ignorance has consequences. Real consequences. When Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 vanished, it crashed into the southern Indian Ocean. The search teams went to look for it. They brought the best sonar equipment in the world. And do you know what they found? They didn't find the plane at first. They found mountains, massive underwater volcanoes that were not on any chart. They found canyons deeper than the Grand Canyon. They were flying blind. They realized that the maps they were using, maps made by satellites guessing the depth based on gravity, were wrong by thousands of feet. A huge metal bird vanished because we didn't know the topography of our own backyard. The concept of gravity mapping is how we get those vague blue shapes on Google Earth. Satellites in space measure the bumps in the ocean's surface. A massive underwater mountain has a lot of mass, so it pulls the water toward it, creating a slight bump on the surface of the ocean. The satellite sees the bump, and the computer guesses there must be a mountain down there. It's like trying to guess what's wrapped inside a Christmas present by shaking the box and weighing it. You might guess it's a book, but you don't know the title, the author, or the color of the cover. We know there are mountains, but we don't know the details. and the devil is in the details. In the 95% of the ocean that is unmapped, there are monsters. Not necessarily biological monsters, although those are there too, but geological ones. There are underwater waterfalls where cold water rushes down an abyssal cliff, creating a flow more powerful than the Niagara. There are lakes on the bottom of the ocean, brine pools, where the water is so salty it doesn't mix with the rest of the sea. These pools have their own shorelines and their own waves, completely underwater. It is a landscape from a fantasy novel, hidden by the curtain of the deep. The comparison to the moon is stark. The moon is 240,000 miles away. We have walked on it. We have driven buggies on it. We have played golf on it. The Mariana Trench is only 7 miles down, yet more people have walked on the surface of the moon than have visited the deepest point of our own ocean. Why? Because the moon is easy. The moon is a vacuum. A vacuum is hard to handle, but pressure is harder. At the bottom of the ocean, the water pushes against you with 8 tons of pressure per square inch. It wants to crush you. It wants to implode your submarine. Designing a machine to survive that is an engineering nightmare. In space, you just have to keep the air in. In the ocean, you have to keep the water out. And the water is relentless. It finds every crack. It exploits every weakness. And then there's the biology. Mars is fascinating, but it's dead. It's a rock. The ocean is a soup. It's a living, breathing entity. In that 95% of darkness, there are ecosystems we cannot imagine. We find new species every time we go down. Not just small bugs, but sharks, whales, jellies. We found the new type of whale just a few years ago. A whale! A 30-foot mammal was swimming around and we didn't know it existed because it stayed in the unmapped zones. If we found a single bacteria on Mars, it would change history. It would be the biggest news headline of all time. Life on Mars. But we find thousands of new species in the ocean and it barely makes the back page of the newspaper. We are desensitized to the wonder of our own planet. We take the blue water for granted. We treat it as a flat surface for shipping containers and a dumping ground for plastic. We don't see it as a frontier. But the frontier is there. The mineral wealth alone is staggering. The floor of the Pacific is littered with manganese nodules, potato-sized rocks that are pure metal. They contain the rare earth elements we need for batteries, for phones, for the future of technology. These fields of wealth are sitting there, unmapped, unclaimed, in the dark. The gold rush of the future will not be in space. It will be in the abyss. However, mining the deep without a map is like doing surgery with the lights off. We could destroy ecosystems we don't even know exist. We could blend up corals that are 4,000 years old. The ignorance is dangerous. We're capable of destroying the unknown before we have a chance to name it. Let's imagine the view if we could drain the oceans. Just pull the plug. The water drains away. What is left? The planet would look terrifying. The continents would be high plateaus looking down on massive, scarred basins. You would see the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, a mountain range that runs around the globe like the seam on a baseball, the longest mountain range in the world, and almost no one has ever seen it. You would see the trenches, deep gashes in the crust where the planet is eating itself. You would see the shipwrecks, thousands of them, Titanic, Bismarck, Spanish galleons, Roman triremes, a history of human failure resting on the dry mud. But we can't drain the ocean. We have to look through the water. And the water fights back. It creates distinct layers, the thermocline, the halocline. These layers bend sound. They confuse sensors. A submarine can hide under a layer of cold water and disappear from sonar completely. The ocean is not just a barrier, it's an active participant in hiding its secrets. The priority of funding tells the story. Space agencies get billions. Ocean exploration gets millions. NASA has a budget that dwarfs NOAA. We look up because looking up is hopeful. Looking up represents the future, escape, expansion. Looking down represents fear. It represents the grave. It represents the unknown things that might eat us. It's a primal psychological bias. We're afraid of the dark water. But the irony remains. We're searching for aliens. We spend decades listening for radio signals from Vega or Andromeda. Meanwhile, on Jupiter's moon Europa and Saturn's moon Enceladus, we think there are oceans under the ice. We think those oceans might have life. So we are planning missions to go to space, to drill through ice, to explore an alien ocean, while we have a perfectly good, unexplored alien ocean right here. We're skipping steps. We want to run before we can crawl. The map of the ocean is the map of ignorance. It shows us what we don't know. The blurred lines and the fuzzy patches are a challenge. They are a reminder that the age of exploration isn't over. Captain Cook and Columbus didn't finish the job. They just skated over the surface. The real explorers of the next century won't be astronauts.